GME. Same thing. Here's that Jan theory we've always walked through. And the same idea with what I just showed on AMC. We are at the final landmarks of each one of these yearly cycles, tracked all the way through. Here's our 2025 to current, and it's complete, including the S-curve. Now, this is where the adjustment is. Was I wrong or was I just early? So what happened? Well, this is going back to when we were waiting for that November equation date, and I was open to, just like the past 2 years, we had a November breakpoint instead of a January breakpoint. So I wanted to see if we were going to get another November breakpoint, and that equation date was 11/21, November 20th to November 23rd. At that time, I wanted to see price and time confirm that the V was in and that we were tracking off the other side. The micro iteration that I was looking at is zooming in on just this C to V point. C to V point. So let's go ahead and walk through that. Now we're from the blue to the V, from the blue to the V, right? That's this to this, this to this. Still looks great. That put us on the pullback coming out of this smaller black box is how I've referred to it previously. Once we completed that, it was, are we going down to C 1750 to be a complete macro with that V as your lowest point of this entire iteration? Here it is zoomed in again, just that micro iteration from C to V, C to V. Again, black box finishing up. Wanted to see that V point. This is now updated. Yes, I'm going to skip through all the tracking that we did the past month. We're going from the November to this. Basic fractal landmarks, CMT and V. If that equation date of 11/21 to 11/23 was the V, then it was confirmed with a higher low off the other side, like what we got here, and then forward tracking into higher highs and higher lows until it broke out. Here's that area zoomed in. Again, just T to V. Down here, T to V. It looks great. It looks great. Confirmation was getting above this 23.18, and then it was getting above 24. That would signal your change of trend, and it would really drive home that we're probably not going to find that $17, and instead that was resolved early and at a higher price. It checks out. We got the higher low off the other side, and we're confirming now with higher lows and higher highs off the other side. Here's this area zoomed in. This coming off of the higher low now. Just micro landmarks, basic fractal landmarks, CMT and V, CMT and V. We're just going to track these in the uptrend. You can see there's a lot of this same iteration. Here, this whole thing. I did this in our Gold Event on Sunday where we did the bars pattern and showed that each one of these iterations is just the same. It's fractal. If this was to continue, I wanted to complete this white box with a confirmation breaking back above the previous micro C point. So that's getting above 25. We nailed it. So forward tracking past this box then, you have another A, B, and C iteration of just a basic jet test. So what are we completing here? An A, and a B, and a C. So if this just completed this area, we should see, and we are already kind of confirming this, a pullback back below 25. This is GANS level 2490. Your support still sits around 2450. I do not want to see us back below GANS level 2410. That would then break the sequence of higher highs and higher lows. If it does, it's not the end of the world. We went over these alternatives of, I believe that all this iteration is new macro. But in any case, if we're still tracking through these, we can confirm, peaks and pullbacks, but it's not 2020, 2021. It's 2026. So super open-minded to what these landmarks should look like moving forward. With confirmation, we will forward track for what we see. Here's the cool side-by-side that I showed on our Gold Event as well. This is showing you the bars of January to spring of 2024, a January to spring of 2022, the January to spring of 2023. So all of these are the Jan landmarks here that I showed from beginning to end. Or no, I'm sorry, from beginning to spring. That's what I'm showing here. Where did it go? There it is. So if we just line these up, basic fractal landmarks, C top to your April or spring V to then go find your spring top. C to V, C to V. Our macro position 2020 from C to V. That's what all these side-by-sides that I was showing on the update. This one here. So all of these iterations from a Jan perspective, from a macro position perspective, from a there's the other iterations that we use to track. So here's our current, current iteration C top to find that V bottom. Should be tracking off the other side. All of these have the same iteration, higher low off the other side, uptrend. 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 So that's all we have to do. That's all we have to confirm. Here's one of the side-by-sides that I showed. A lot of other people were posting this, talking about we're in May, we're in May, we're in May. This is how the proper way to set it up. It is not a macro position. It is not a seasonal cycle. I do not like this chart. Now that we have confirmed the higher, so we're going to zoom in here on just this micro C to M. So we're doing 2024 May compared to this micro iteration here that we just completed. And breaking above the previous C point of 24, it doesn't really, it's forward, it's too far forward. It was not a proper side-by-side to be used. And you'll see it now, all these people, that we're tracking for May, it's May, it's May, we're doing the higher low, it's May, it's May. It's not May. May's not macro position, May's not seasonal cycle. It looks like iteration, and that's exactly what it did. It completed as a look like, and it completed. But in any sense, it's a good side-by-side to use for landmarks, and it was. Now our V's in, we're tracking forward from that point. Here's a model of the equations that we've been using lately. So this blue one, this is a absolute low to C point. That gave us the 111 to 118. That was a weekend, and then we had Martin Luther King Day on the 19th, so we forward tracked for volatility on the 20th, and volatility it was. What an incredible buy-in opportunity and uptrend off the other side of that. So great equation date. Moving forward from that point, we had this another of a micro trend, a absolute low to high. That was the one that we had for the 1121 to 1123, which obviously was an incredible equation date. It wasn't MOAS, but it was the volatility equation that we were looking for. And then another micro that we did of that November 21st low to the C point. Again, absolutes of this micro trend. And it gave us the following trough of January 3rd to the 5th. So incredible. All of these equation dates were perfect. This is a good example of how to use absolutes to forward following troughs.